Apparently, according to Pedro Munhoz, 17 out of 20 media members voted for him. Personally, I had it 3-2 Edgar, but in no way was this a robbery. What up, Fightful fam? I'm Shaquille Madjouri, and this is your Fightful Fix UFC Vegas 7 post-fight edition. We're going to recap Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munhoz, what's next for both men, the bonus award winners from tonight, as well as the biggest news coming from Dana White's mouth out of the press conference. Before we get going, if you don't mind hitting subscribe and tapping the notification bell, that goes a really long way to helping us grow the channel, and a like on this video wouldn't be too bad either. First up, Frankie Edgar makes a successful bantamweight debut, earning a razor thin split decision over number 5 ranked Pedro Munhoz. These guys really went for it. They left everything they had in the octagon. Both men really showed up in shape, won 5 hard rounds, barely broke a sweat, and both did significant work. Frankie Edgar landed more combinations, had great movement going for him. Munhoz arguably landed most but not all of the harder shots, including a bunch of devastating leg kicks that had Frankie Edgar limping in round 5. Now, I know that a lot of fans had scored this fight all over the place. Apparently, according to Pedro Munhoz, 17 out of 20 media members voted for him. Personally, I had it 3-2 Edgar, but in no way was this a robbery. And even the judges were all over the place on this one. Just look at these scorecards. One judge had it 2, 3, and 5 for Edgar. One judge gave rounds 1, 2, and 5 to Edgar. And one judge only gave Edgar round number 2. Ultimately, Edgar came away with a split decision victory, 248-247s for him, plus 149-46 for Pedro Munhoz. Edgar was not available at the post-fight press conference. Apparently, he was taken straight to the hospital to deal with his leg. Pedro Munhoz showed up, confident that he won the fight, but was generally very respectful of Frankie Edgar. So, where does Frankie Edgar move from here? He just beat the number 5 guy in a brand new division. I know Ali Abdelaziz was pitching for Edgar versus Yan. I'm not quite sure Edgar is there, but I mean, he's not too far away. He should be ranked in the top 5 now. Great news coming out of the press conference that relates to this. Dana White finally confirmed that Aljamain Sterling will be getting the next bantamweight title shot against Petr Yan. So where does that leave the rest of the division? Number 1, Marlon Moraes is fighting number 4, Corey Sandhagen at an upcoming fight night, and number 3 ranked Cody Garbrandt is dropping to flyweight to fight for the flyweight title. If you were to ask me, I think a fight that would actually make a whole lot of sense right now is Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar. Edgar dropped 2 fights to Jose Aldo at featherweight, but I would argue that he has looked better thus far at bantamweight. Aldo is winless, losing a close split decision to Marlon Moraes, and then being finished by Petr Yan in a fight that was relatively competitive until it wasn't. If you don't want to do that, I think number 7, Jeremy Rivera, number 8, Rafael Assunção, 9, Rob Font, all make sense. If Dominic Cruz really wants to fight again, he is ranked number 10. I'd be totally down for Edgar versus Cruz. Now let's catch you up very quickly on the performance of the night winners. Trevin Jones beat Timur Valiev by TKO in the second round to earn 50 grand from UFC President Dana White. Man, this was insane. Jones got dropped with a body shot in the first, really took the wind out of them. He was basically just covering up, trying to get his feet underneath him. He took elbows, knees, punches, kicks to the face, to the body, but somehow toughed it out through round 1. Came back and TKO'd his opponent in round 2. He was a big underdog, and this was without a doubt the biggest comeback of 2020. Well, or at least recent memory. And the other performance of the night bonus goes to Shayna Dobson, who defeated Maria Agapova by TKO. Again, Dobson was the biggest underdog of the night. I think she was like plus 800, 8-1 underdog on a lot of betting sites. It was a tough first round. Agapova had her back for quite a while, threatening with rear naked chokes, but Shayna came out in the second, clearly the fresher fighter, got it to the ground, pounded a TKO, 50 grand richer. Congratulations, Dobson. Okay, there was a bunch of interesting tidbits coming out of Dana White's post-fight press conference with the media. Most importantly, I think, like I said before, he said that Aljamain Sterling will be the next person vying for Petr Yan's bantamweight title. For some reason, the UFC has been very hesitant to officially grant Sterling the title shot, but it is clear as day that he is the most deserving challenger, and honestly, he's been the most deserving challenger for quite some time now. So, good on you, Funkmaster. Dana White also touched on the release of Corey Anderson, saying, Bellator just seemed like a better fit for him, somewhere where he could be more competitive than the UFC. Breaking news, Dana White still doesn't like Oscar De La Hoya. And fun fact for the fighters, at UFC Vegas 7, Dana White promised he'd be writing out a bunch more checks beyond the performance of the night and fight of the night winners. And did I mention that Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munhoz took fight of the night? Because it did. Now, possibly the biggest news, shout out to Oscar Willis of the Mac Life. Tony Ferguson has apparently been a little more active online, and this led Oscar to ask UFC President Dana White, is it likely that Tony's next fight is against Dustin Poirier? And Dana White said, probably. So, that is sick. To be honest, I don't love it, and that's only because I don't want to see Tony Ferguson take that much damage coming out of the Justin Gaethje fight, and I don't really want to see Dustin Poirier, who is just the sweetest man on earth, take that much damage after the Dan Hooker win. If you were to ask me, this would have been a great chance to pair either one of them up with Charles Oliveira, number 6, very deserving of a top 5 guy, but it's been reported that Charles Oliveira will be facing number 11, Beneil Dariush. This could have also been a chance to give someone like Diego Ferreira or Paul Felder a top 5 guy, but probably someone who wouldn't cause them as much trouble as Poirier and Ferguson will do to one another. Now, ignoring my motherly concerns, damn, Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson is gonna be straight up fireworks. And this is no Francis Ngannou, Derek Lewis curse. I cannot imagine that fight being anything other than fight of the night. And that is all for today's Fightful Fix. Let us know in the comments section, who do you think Frankie Edgar should fight next? How did you score the fight? And what are your thoughts on Tony Ferguson versus Dustin Poirier? If you like this video and want to help us out, the best way you can do so is by tapping subscribe, hitting the notification bell, and, well, liking the video. For Fightful MMA, I'm Shaquille Majuri. I hope you all stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.